Good evening, and welcome to my How Healthy Are You weekly educational call. My name is Dr. Thomas Brewer. I'm a PhD chemist. And for this call, I've got two questions that were essentially repeated by a few other people, so I figured I'd cover both of them in this call. The first one and related ones dealt with what I've been talking about when I explain that supplements are something you have to be careful with, and you have to treat them almost the same way you would treat a pharmaceutical product. Going to have an effect on your body if the supplement's any good, and if it doesn't have an effect on your body, you're wasting your money. So I warn people to not just take supplements because they saw an infomercial or a friend of them told them that they take a certain supplement. You really want to have some sort of test that reveals your need for the supplement. And there is a Consumer Reports article that is fairly recent, and they talked about the dangers of various supplements, and that's one of the reasons I talked about supplements. But in the Consumer Reports article, they were talking about some other topics which I'd like to mention, and one of them is many manufacturers of supplements will add materials to their supplement that they shouldn't be adding. So these are your unscrupulous folks. It's typically done with the weight loss supplements, and so there's usually a drug of some sort added that will stimulate a person's metabolism, and that results in some weight loss, but it also stimulates the heart, and people are getting sick from these weight loss supplements. And the weight loss providers aren't the only ones doing this. So because nutritional supplements are not regulated like pharmaceutical drugs, you get some unscrupulous people that will do anything to make a dollar, and so they will sell products that aren't necessarily good for the user, but very profitable. Now, normally what I'm referring to when I talk about supplements, a common problem is the manufacturer just wants to make money, so they add a filler or a binder to the product. I just got a question today about talc, which is commonly added to supplements, but talc is a filler, and whatever a manufacturer pays, let's say they pay $5, $10, $15, $20 or more per weight of the bottle of active material, the talc is like 5 or 10 cents. So they make a huge amount of money essentially reselling talc for a lot more than they paid for it. And it's an inert substance, so it's not going to hurt you. It's just wrong for manufacturers to sell things like talc, titanium dioxide, silicon dioxide, which is sand. These are all fillers. A similar thing is done actually in the food industry when water is added to orange juice or excess water is added to almond milk. Almond milk isn't milk, it's just almonds blended with water. So if you add a lot of water, you can sell your almond milk for less money. It's just diluted with water. So why not dilute it with more water? And then you make money selling water as if it's almond milk. And this is just what happens in society and the need for greed. The other thing to look out for with supplements, and this is something that was also in the Consumer Reports article, was outrageous claims. you're going to see these, especially on the internet or something that comes in the mail. It'll be some long 20-paged document or little booklet, and it'll have this tremendous claim like cancer cure, something like that. And it's all garbage. It's not real. The way you deal with cancer, like any disease, is you get your immune system strong, and you do that through diet and supplements that feed the immune system, like PlantBased Sterols, which are found in sprouts, and other ways, like vitamin D and zinc. Most people are familiar with ways to improve their immune system because we've been inundated by information after the COVID-19 issue became front and center. Everyone seems more interested in improving or boosting their immune system, but you'll have products out there that just have these ridiculous claims, and they'll get away with it until they get into trouble, and then they'll just bankrupt themselves and re-release the product under a new name. And it's really a problem. So what I always request people do is when they get something with some outrageous claim and it's fooling them, they think it's true, to pass it by me and let me tell you what I think of it as a scientist. Another one that comes up in general is all these detox claims. There's a very common cleanse out there called the Master Cleanse, and it involves maple syrup. And you can do all sorts of things to cleanse the body, but cleansing is not something you do once and then forget about it. And the Master Cleanse is very hard on the body. It'll work, but it's not a smart thing to do. It's like almost not as bad, but if you want to lose weight, cut off your arm. You will lose weight, but it's not a smart thing to do. These harsh, strong, very ridiculously difficult cleanses are not the way to go. The easier way to go is to always cleanse the body every single day, because we've been detoxing or detoxifying our body for a long time. In fact, I think what I meant to say is we've been toxifying our body. We've been exposing our body to toxins all our lives, and we're still exposed to toxins, which means we have to detox daily, not just one time and then we're done for the rest of our life. So I recommend things like herbal teas. They don't taste so good. The Enriching Gifts Daily Detoxification is a nice way to go. With that, sometimes you may only need to take one capsule a week, one capsule every few days. Some people need one a day, but it is something that you can safely do daily. Food-wise, I advocate my morning routine. It's very detoxifying, and it's something you really should do every day. Start your day with a glass of warm lemon water, about 8 ounces of warm water with half a lemon squeezed in. Wait 30 minutes, and then have about 6 ounces of freshly squeezed celery juice. And then after that, you're pretty much on your own. I mean, you've started your day really well, and you'll be detoxing. And it's just something you keep doing. We are exposed to toxins in the air all the time, not just smoke, but fumes and odors. And it's every day. There's pollen and dust. There's even fungus and mold in the air. We're always exposed to toxins. There's plenty of toxins in our water supply. There's toxins in our food due to pesticide residue. And just the food being out in the air, particles stick to the food. We're exposed to very minute quantities of radiation all the time. with the 3G, which got stronger when it was 4G, and now the 5G, it just gets exponentially stronger. And radiation has a very large effect, and it's a negative effect on biological tissue, meaning our bodies. There's radiation exposure anytime there's a nuclear power plant disaster and like Fukushima, anytime there's leakage, all the x-rays we get and the medical and the dental x-rays, we constantly have to deal with these essentially toxic effects, and that is why you have to think of detoxing as something you do every day, not one super-duper master cleanse and then you're good. These harsh cleanses are harsh. They're hard on the body. So that was the first thing I wanted to talk about. A lot of questions that are coming in with respect to supplements and detoxing. The second is on a more spiritual nature, is what effect does spending time in nature have on the body? Meaning, are there any studies that show a physical benefit from spending time in the woods and going on nature walks and hiking and things like that? And people absolutely have fewer negative health symptoms when they're out in nature. There's less disease and illness, and they feel healthier. Part of that physically would be due to just having cleaner air. So another is when people are outside in nature, they've got to be physical, so that produces a better behavior because they're exercising essentially. But then some studies were done if people aren't exercising and breathing the air, right, the clean air and walking. What if they just look at green colors? No effect. And studies were done with people where it was simulating being out in nature, but they really weren't. And the conclusion is when people are out in nature, it's really not a physical effect. There's not a lot of science. Where this falls is more emotional, mental, and spiritual health. That's where you get the benefit. And it's very hard for most scientists to quantify emotional benefits, intellectual, mental type benefits, and of course spiritual. Very difficult for scientists to wrap their brains around, at least most scientists. I seem to be a little different in this arena. So I recommend spending time in nature. There's a term to hug a tree, and what that does is it grounds you. And you can't scientifically see it, but there is a benefit to walking barefoot in the grass and touching trees and plants and nature. So I recommend it, even though scientifically the scientists can't figure out why it's a benefit. So that's all I have for this week's educational call. I will be hosting another call next Monday, same time. Thanks for listening.